Hashtag condoms before masks. It is far more important, you people, to make sure that you wear condoms in the bedroom than masks here at Speaker's Corner. Why have you got your mask on? What are you going to stop? How you going to stop the spread? Stop you spread. You're so concerned. Are you so concerned that you might spread it to someone and someone might die? Yeah. No, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Well, in that case, you should definitely never ever sleep with a woman without a condom on. Never.
Why do you want to have a kid?
Why would you want to have a kid? If you care so much about your behaviour that you're wearing a mask to protect other people, yeah, from a percentage chance of dying of 0.025%, or even if it's as much as 1%, yeah, then you should definitely always wear a condom, because if you don't wear a condom, there's a 5% chance that you're going to conceive a child, yeah, together with your partner, and that child will definitely die. That child will definitely die. Yeah, well, it might not be when he's older. You don't know when he's going to die, or she.
But it's always the nature of Jewish.
Jewish people want to breed
Yes,
more.
they want to breed more, and then they are telling people not to get children.
Right.
So now they are dominating the world, and they want to do that more and more.
Right.
How come you want to, stop breeding?
Well, it's kind of obvious. Why would anybody want it to carry on? I mean, it's got to a crazy situation. Every Tom, Dick and Harry's breeding. I mean, do you want to breed?
Well, yeah, sure.
Why?
I want to pass on my genes.
Why? Are your genes that good?
I'm not telling that, but I want to pass on my genes to, continue my lineage.
Why? What is your lineage?
Yeah, exactly. It's just human nature. Yeah.
Yeah, it may be human nature, but rape and murder are also sometimes human nature.
Well,
You have to overcome that madness.
I think.
I mean, have you spoken to anybody, any independent party about your desire to carry on your lineage? Because I think that is a sign of delusion. I think you're deluded.
Okay.
You think that your lineage is somehow worth.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So then, why do you want to carry on your lineage? I wouldn't want to be your child.
Okay, why did you have
Just
kids?
so that you can carry on your lineage. Why should I as your child? Imagine if I was your young child and I was going through a hard time in my life, and I said, well, why did you have me? And you said, oh, for lineage. The child will say to you, what are you talking about lineage? What's so good about your flipping lineage?
Not only that.
So why are you passing it on to someone else? Leave the poor kids alone.
Also to bring them up, show them the world, teach them how the world is. That's the one.
You think you know how the world works?
No, but I can show.
So how are you going to teach them how the world works?
No answer.
Great. Make sure you wear a condom, brother. Make sure you wear a condom at all times. Why have you got a mask on?
I think it might be better for some people's health if I keep a mask on.
If you're concerned about a whole chain of events happening that could lead to someone else's death, yeah, is that what you're concerned about?
Yes.
Okay, so can I suggest to you, if you have sex without a condom, yeah, you have a 1 in 20 chance of impregnating a woman, which will lead to somebody's death.
That's true.
So, do you wear a condom on all occasions if you're having sex?
No, I don't.
Well, then it's laughable that you're wearing this mask, because you are really endangering, your future child's life by not wearing a condom.
In order to justify why I'm going to breed, I needed to check that we are on a similar moral foundation where we'd agree that it's a good thing to pay a debt to someone that you owe a debt to pay back what you owe.
So what is this debt? Can you clarify the debt you feel you've got a debt?
I will do that, but I want to check that we actually agree with the moral principle that, in principle, if you owe someone a debt, it's a good thing to pay that debt.
Okay, well, let's find out what the debt is and who you owe it to.
Okay, I hope the audience notes that they did not want to commit themselves to this, I think, quite inoffensive moral principle. But so the idea is that my parents did a lovely job raising me and gave me lots of help, and so I owe them all this care, which I won't be able to repay kind of personally until they get old, and even when they get old, kind of it still won't be equivalent to the kind of care they gave to me when I was totally helpless as a baby, and all the joy that they gave me, because I did personally have a very nice, joyful life. And so, like, they would want me, in order to repay this debt of care and kindness, that I similarly give my children such a lovely existence, which I am confident I'll be able to do.
Have you ever thought about what it would take to be a good father?
Yes.
What do you think it would take? What type of skills do you think you'd need?
A similar skill set to the ones my father and mother
Okay,
had.
and what were they?
Well, I think it would, being kind, being compassionate, those sorts of things. Good
Those sorts of
parenting
things.
skills.
Oh, good parenting skills. You think being kind and compassionate is what you need to be a good father?
In
Right?
part, you need lots of things.
I am really, really worried about you. You really need to, seriously, the mask, you should go to we've got a campaign called Condoms Before Masks. If you're wearing a mask, you really need to make sure that you are, protected, and that your children are protected from being brought here based on things that make absolutely no sense. Do you have any questions of what he just said?
Yeah, your first question was about if someone gives you something, you have a moral obligation, if you like, to return that back.
Yes.
But hasn't it occurred to you that maybe it's not all about you receiving the gift? It's about the person giving the gift. It's for them to feel good because they need to give that gift.
Good question. So I think as soon as I exited my mother's womb and I started crying, I was crying out for something. I was subconsciously, before I was even able to remember things, I was asking for something. And so I was actually asking my mother to feed me and to make me happy and make me not in pain.
And
So
that could be about her wanting that.
well,
I like to give a gift. Sometimes I give a gift to someone, not for you, but to make myself feel good. So it's not you that has that obligation to return that gift back to me. I've already received it by giving it to you.
And what you're saying is bizarre, because from the child's point of view, yeah? In other words, imagine if I was your child and I say, Daddy, right? I've come home from school, I've been bullied, and I've only got 4 followers on Instagram, and I'm overweight, and I can't stop eating chocolate, right? And cake, and I'm very insecure, right? And I said, Daddy, why did you have me? Oh, well, I had you because your grandma was so nice to me that I decided that I'd create a new little toy that we could play with, and I'd be really good with them, even though I didn't really know what I was doing and I was talking about, right? And that's why I had you, yeah? Do you think he'd be impressed?
well, it's contingent on whether the father in question does a good job. That's if they aren't able to do a good job and able to inspire similar feelings of wanting to repay gratitude and being grateful for being alive and that sort of thing, then it wouldn't be worth it. But if they do a good job, then it is worth it.
Well, you can't guarantee anything. You don't know what kind of child's going to come out. They might come out with all your bad points.
It's a possibility. You'd have to weigh that up. So
Like,
once
for
you do
example,
that
they
calculus,
may have sort of difficulties in formulating basic logical ideas.
So you'd agree then that what matters is doing the probabilistic calculation on, the likelihood of there being a bad outcome versus the likelihood of there being a nice outcome.
No,
And
that's playing
if I
Russian
am-
roulette with somebody else's life, isn't it?
Well,
Why
it is.
Why would you take a risk with somebody else's life?
Well, to characterize this as Russian roulette is to only think about the downside of like the gun pulling the trigger and the guy losing the Russian
That's
roulette.
what Russian roulette is.
Yes, but
It's actually worse than Russian roulette, because everybody's going to put a bullet to their head.
Okay, but what
Your child is going to die. I mean, how would you like your child to die, by the way?
I'd like him to die in a happy way.
In a happy way, yeah,
Hold on, I
right.
need to answer your
Should we go
previous
to the
question.
hospital, see all the fun they're having?
I need to answer in a the
Aldous
previous
Huxley
question.
apparently got his wife to administer some LSD while he was in his dying moments.
Yes.
Is that how you'd like to die?
Hold on.
Maybe say that now, because if this goes viral, and if you do die, maybe you'll have an LSD trip of your dying moments.
Okay, but hold on. I need to answer your previous. I need to object to something you said earlier, which was
Go for it.
that So you say you're playing Russian roulette with someone's life, and so yes, there's a negative risk of something bad happening and them having an unhappy life, but there's also a good positive side that can happen as well. And so it's about weighing up those two things. And so depending on the particular family and circumstances, the result of that could be more likely to be bad, but for some people it might be more likely to be good, and so it could be worthwhile for some people and not worthwhile for other people.
Yeah.
So then taking it further, when we ask you why would you want to breed, it's because you want to pay back a debt. So really, your action is all about you and what you're thinking.
Well, you could. So any time you do something, you're acting in accordance with your preferences, unless you do something by accident, like fall over. But anytime you decide to do something, you're acting in accordance with your preferences. So you could say that any conscious, deliberate decision is you doing what you want to do. But that's not a very interesting way of characterizing selfishness, because that makes any conscious action selfish. So what I'd say is that if you feel that there is a moral principle that it is good to repay debts, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily selfish. That's
But you see,
by
to me,
moral...
to me, what you're saying is that I just think it's like, I would not want you to be my father. I seriously would not want you to be my father.
That's
You're not even close. Like, if I had the choice of someone to be my dad, it wouldn't be you, and it wouldn't be my dad either. Don't get me wrong, right? I might even prefer you to my dad, but that's not necessarily, doesn't mean anything, right? So because what you're saying to me is literally insane.
Why?
Because you're saying you owe someone a debt, right? Which we could take apart. Well, let me ask you a question. If I came up to you right now with a baby and I said, here you are, there's a little gift for you. You seem like a nice chap. Here's a gift. Look after this for the rest of your life. Yeah? Would you feel indebted to me?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't want
What
to
would you
have
feel?
a baby from you.
Thank you. I know you don't want to have a baby from me, but at the end of the day, you will be impregnating your wife. You intend to impregnate a woman, which is basically to put her in danger. You're okay to put a woman in danger just so that you can repay a debt, not owed to feel better, a debt to somebody else.
Well,
and you're using.
But she'll feel the same way.
That
though.
is abusive.
No,
you're using your child to pay back a debt to somebody else by trying your very best to be a good parent, which, by the way, I guarantee you will fail, because to be a good parent, it takes a lot more than just a bit of compassion, right? It takes being a financial guru, a coach, an exercise coach, a mental coach, a chauffeur, a teacher, a counsellor. I mean, go on and on and on and on.
So this child now...
Wait a second. I need to
Go on.
understand.
Sorry,
Okay, you go first then.
Yeah, go on.
And then on top of all this, let's say you do have the child and you've done everything in your ability to bring him up and to be a fine young man like yourself and happy and all that. Now you're old, you're 75, 80, 85, ready to top it off. And you look at this young man you've created and he gets married. You're happy to die knowing that you've brought this person into the world to be into debt, a slave to interest rates, taxed to death, open to viruses, open to illnesses, open to violence, getting stabbed, leaving that child and his children at risk of all these bad things.
Or daughter. What about daughter?
Or daughter. So you're happy to leave them at risk of all this when it wasn't necessary to have anything all that. And okay, you'll die, but yeah, you might not feel fulfilled, but doing that, you've sacrificed yourself by not feeling fulfilled, will be doing them a favour by not having them in the first place.
Exactly, like you raised the point of like, what you're doing is abusive because your plan will inflict the risk of something bad happening during pregnancy to the girl.
Yeah.
But the thing is that my
she will
woman,
put on weight, and she will go through the pain of birth,
Yes.
and she may get postnatal depression. What? Just so that you can pay back a debt to somebody else?
But my
Seriously, that's absolutely nuts.
No, but my future beloved
I would be
wife,
so angry if
Hold
my
on.
dad said that to me. said, Dad, you know, in one of my times of, Dad, why did you have me? Oh, well, because my dad was really nice to me, so I thought, I'll have you, right? And yeah, I'll take a bit of a risk. I mean, you know, we sort of got by. I weren't too bad. But
the worst is your dad saying, well, he had me for the same reasons.
About this point, this invalid point about the risk of getting pregnant and me inflicting this on a woman, that being tantamount to abuse. My beloved future wife will be of the same opinion as me on this issue, and so she'll be using my sperm to inflict this risk on herself because it's worthwhile.
Yes, but you won't be able to trust your wife because your wife has been hijacked by both her own DNA and the whole system of brainwashing. That unfortunately she cannot be trusted if she wants to get impregnated. Why would you want to get impregnated?
So if you say that, then none of us can trust ourselves then?
No, absolutely not, and you certainly can't. So you're still going to reproduce?
Yeah.
You're still going to do it?
And do you think you've provided any, any reason to believe that I haven't provided a justification for that?
Oh, of
Good
course.
question.
I mean, you haven't even come close to provide a justification for that. I mean, there's so many problems with reproducing. It has an effect on the woman. It will have an effect on you. It will have an effect on your resources. It will have an effect on your time. It'll have an effect on the animals. It'll have an effect on the environment. All negative, right?
Yeah.
It will have an effect on all the other people on Earth. It has an effect on your local people, right? And it will cost you a lot of money if you do it. Cost you probably haven't even got into that. Do you know how much it will cost? How much?
Well,
what kind of
It
life do
depends.
you want this child to have? Any old flipping life or like a nice one?
Yeah, obviously it depends.
What do you want? The best opportunities, or you don't give a?
I think I'm not going to get into specifics. I think that's a
Why
red
not?
herring.
Why not? It's not a red herring at
Going
all.
down the rabbit hole.
It's not a red herring at all. It's another.
These are.
Before you make a decision to put your end away, have you ever had unprotected sex?
Yes.
Why?
Enjoys it.
Why did you do
Lasts
that?
longer.
Seriously?
It lasts longer.
Are you not embarrassed? You endangered a woman's life and a child's life without being basically prepared.
But let's
Why
be
did you
honest.
do that?
No, but let's be honest. This anti-natalist psychology is more pathological than, I mean, it's more embarrassing to say I'm an anti-natalist than to say kind of, I've had unprotected sex with someone I'm in a committed relationship with, and we've taken precautions.
Oh, I didn't know you'd taken precautions. Fair enough. I mean, that's not so bad if you've taken precautions. But although, there's still possibility of passing on sexually transmitted diseases, isn't there?
Not if you're both tested beforehand and you trust each other. And
So you've only done it in those situations.
yes.
But why did you do that? You weren't ready to.
Well, I think this is getting a little bit too personal.
Were you taking a
I
risk?
don't like these salacious conversations.
Were you taking a risk at the time?
I'm not going to talk about this aspect of my personal life anymore.
Okay.
I don't want to talk
That's
about
fair enough.
that sort of
That's
thing.
fair enough.
So, but let's
Nothing to be
maybe-
embarrassed about.
I think we understand each other's positions, but I'd like to maybe summarize by offering this: that you can provide potential negative consequences of getting pregnant that a moral person would want to avoid. However, if I can provide one moral benefit, namely repaying a debt, then as long as one agrees that there is a moral good towards paying debts, then kind of one would have to agree that there is some moral principle in favor and some other moral principles against. And so deciding which moral principle should take precedence is a non-trivial idea. We have to do these trade-offs between different conflicting moral principles in society all the time. We have to decide whether to balance human well-being versus privacy, or human well-being versus consent, and all these other things. So you'd have to admit that your claim isn't as black and white as you would like to put forth. No, that's that. Would you agree with that, or? Okay.
Why did they bring you here into existence? I still don't
I
understand.
haven't asked them what their reason was.
Well, what do you think it was?
It's probably because they have a biological urge to have kids.
Exactly. They wanted to have sex. They wanted to have that feeling.
they wanted to have
so they brought you into this whole existence, yeah? And you've had to go out and buy all these clothes and all that, just because your dad wanted a certain feeling and he didn't put a condom on.
If breeding is so wrong and you realise this after your kids were born, then like you should do the right thing from your perspective and sterilize your kids and maybe
Shall I-
kind of castrate them, or
Really good question.
That is actually.
Should have kept it in
Please
your
let me
pants.
ask you
I mean,
one
I
last
have
question.
I have offered them, I've offered to bribe them to do it, but
Let me ask you a very good last
oh,
question.
so then you're prioritizing their consent over the greater good of humanity then?
well, it's difficult. I mean, it's how would I actually do that? How would I force sterilize them?
Well, you could do it while they're asleep or something. You could.
Really?
Yeah.
How? How would I do that?
Like
Do you know how to sterilize people in their sleep? Because if you
Well,
do, we need to talk.
I mean, I know when so, but still, like the first answer you gave though was kind of about consent basically. So you were prioritizing something other than the world's suffering. You were prioritizing another moral principle, which is that it's good to sort of respect consent. And so I'm also prioritizing moral principle when I say that it's good to repay debts. So how can you, say that I'm being so awful?
Good
You're
luck.
being awful
Good
by
luck
not
with that.
Well,
Well, all I can say is,
Last question.
all I can say is, yeah. Sorry, yeah. Go on.
Very last question. What kind of a world would you see to justify you not having a child? To say you wouldn't want to bring a child into this world. What kind of world would it have to be for you
Nazi
to
Germany,
That's a good question. Let him say
Saudi. I'm not Saudi.
What kind of world
Yemen.
would it have to be for you to not want to have a child?
it would be more about my sort of the rest of the world. Like I could move to somewhere where it's a nice place, even if most of the world is bad.
That's an excuse to have a child.
Yeah.
To not have a child. What
No.
kind of world would it have to be? for
So
you not to want to have a child?
maybe the whole world would have to be like a concentration camp or something.
Like a virus and everyone's locked in their rooms.
Yeah, maybe. But like I still think that it's.
What I wanted to say is, yes, there's a lot of horror and pain in the world. Horror, 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 pain, 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 pain. But there's also a lot of beauty in the world. There's understanding. We can evolve, you see. So, for example, when you see a small baby, the baby knows nothing about anything. And then as the baby's child grows up, it has the opportunity to learn. It learns about, and then we get to a point to learning about the universe and learning about ourselves. And if we define ourselves as God, living through God, or consciousness living consciousness, then you have to ask yourself, is the purpose of existence for consciousness to experience itself? And if the purpose, that great purpose of consciousness experiencing itself, is so vast, so great, is that opportunity in this vast universe where most of it is there's nothing, no life, because the vast majority of the universe is nothingness, and then other than nothingness you've got stars, which is most of the material of the universe, and then occasionally the stars will have a tiny little planet, like a speck of dust, like our planet, occasionally harboring life. And then occasionally that kind of life might be, you might have out of 2 million species on this planet, one species called human beings that can learn about consciousness experiencing itself. Then the question has to be asked, is that opportunity for consciousness or God or the reality experiencing itself through our eyes, through its own eyes, and evolving to the point of God knows what, we don't know what the human potential is, and having that potential, is that opportunity worth all the pain, all the horror, all the things that can go wrong, all the things, all the wars, all the famines, all the diseases, everything, all that, is that really worth it? And I think probably that's the question that has to be asked.
But throughout history, it's getting worse and worse. There's no improvement. And the more humans there are in the world, everything's getting more wars, more famines, more deaths, more illnesses, more corruption.
Perhaps it could be argued that out of the billions and billions and billions of humans that have ever existed, even if only a handful of human beings that have attained unity consciousness or God consciousness, at that moment that the man becomes God, a man and God are one and the same, and that has happened. One can argue in human history, you could argue, Jesus, Shirley Saiba, many others, handful of people. Would you say that that's not worth it? I know human beings have suffered terribly.
Yeah, I would say no. It's not even close.
So as one
It's not even
person to
close, and I
reach-
don't know. For
One
me, you
God
sound like
reaching communion with God, you're saying, could be worth more than 1,000 dying in misery and going to hell?
Yes. Is it going
We will leave that question open. Thank you very much.